Hi, today we're doing training on 5th grade set A for Art Vistas, which is the Totem oil pastel drawings. For this project, you're going to be, instead of holding up paintings for your presentation, you'll be using a PowerPoint presentation and showing that to the kids about the first Americans. It really ties in well to the project that they'll be doing today. So that PowerPoint presentation is available on the Art Vista Google Drive, but if for some reason you couldn't find it or access it, there's also a memory stick here in the Art Vista's closet right above the paper cutter. Art Vista's PowerPoint presentations. So there's 4 different presentations throughout the whole Art Vista course that you need a PowerPoint presentation, and there's a memory stick in there that you can just put into the teacher's laptop if worse comes to worse and you can't find the presentation. Also, as you know, here's the paper. They're going to be, actually for this project they don't use construction paper, they use special paper that I'll show you, but they do use oil pastels here, so you'll need to grab that. There's also cans of hairspray that you can lightly spray on their oil pastel drawing after they're done today. So,
and if you can't find the PowerPoint, there's also these books that have them printed out.
Right, so in the Art Vista closet you see these binders that have all the presentations. If you look at 5A,
just the art prints, not the actual presentation, right?
Right, the actual art prints. Instead of holding up the large one, you can hold up a small picture of it or put it on the projector for the projector to show. If you see 5th grade set A, here is a printout of the entire PowerPoint presentation, again as a backup in case for some reason everything goes wrong and you couldn't find the presentation itself. So let's take a quick look at this presentation. It's quite long, and the suggested dialogue that goes along with this presentation is really long, and if you gave the entire presentation, it could take for sure a half an hour. It could even take longer if you have participation with the children. So usually it's good to go through first and kind of highlight some of the things that you think are most important, so you don't have to really give the entire talk, because it gets a little bit lengthy and then there's not enough time to do the project. So I'll just show you quickly. This is the first slide, and really you can just give the whole presentation by walking through the slides. These are the vocabulary words, as there are with every Art Vista presentation. They learn a few new words that day. And then it talks about Native people coming into America. It talks about the different tribes. What's really great about this presentation is it coincides with what they're learning in 5th grade. So a lot of this will come naturally to them because they're learning about it. And then the presentation goes through talking about 3 different tribes. And it talks about how these Indian tribes used, they had artifacts in their everyday life. So even the buildings that they created to live in, here's a teepee, and the masks. So they talk a lot about masks and some different shakers that they use for dances that are made out of animal bones. So there's art all through their lifestyle, and it's very fascinating presentation, and it's really interesting for the kids to learn about it. This one is about another tribe who built these big mounds, and they had a lot of artifacts that came out of the mounds that they discovered, such as these ones. So the whole concept here is you're talking about art, not just in paintings on the wall, but in different things that come out of the lifestyle of these American Indians. So I do recommend going through all these slides with the children, and again, you can just read these different descriptions about what's being shown in the pictures. And then this last tribe that you talk about is the Northwest Indians, and they are famous for their totems. So they had totem poles, and they'll show you lots of pictures of totem poles and the spirit animals that are depicted in the totem poles. And this goes really well right into the presentation. Again, some different totem poles that they found. And these images are important because this is what the kids are going to be creating in their drawing with the oil pastels, these types of images. So that's the end of it. So let me talk about the project itself. For this project, you'll need the oil pastels, and I showed you where they are in the Art Vista closet. And there's a special paper that you use. So this is the paper. It's 12 by 12, and it's kind of crumply. It's made to look like tree bark. So this is the paper. Every kid will just get one piece of this. We have to prepare this paper for you, so please just take as many as you need for the class. And then when you look in the Art Vista samples folders, you'll see 5th grade Set A samples, totem drawings. It's important that you bring this to class because this is part of the project. Each kid should have one of these to look at. So I think there's enough for 2 kids to share. So for every 2 children, they get one of these sheets. And looking on these sheets, it shows some different images in the style of these totems. It talks about spirit animals. The kids can use these samples and create this image with their oil pastels on the special paper, or they can come up with their own. And so maybe they identify, maybe otters are their favorite animal, and maybe they want to use that instead for their picture. And then you instruct them in the demonstration that in this type of art there's a really solid black outline. That's part of it, and then you want to have them create some beautiful detail work within the outline. So let's look at some samples of what docents and children have done for this project. Here's an example of one of the birds. Again, you see the dark black outline and then filled in with some different design, and that makes it look like a totem animal. Here's one of the turtles. This bird is really good. So the lighter oil pastel colors tend to work well on this dark paper. So the yellows, this bright blue, the red actually pops out pretty well on here. But the darker colors, like the darker purples and blues, don't pop as much. So you can tell them it's okay to use the light colors. Here's an example of some of the darker colors. See, this one's more vibrant. Even the white oil pastel works really well on this paper. So that's the whole gist of it. The kids really end up having a good time. Like, some of them get very detailed in the drawings, and they actually create beautiful artwork, and a lot of them choose this for the art show. So like I said, determine how long you want to spend on the presentation. Really 15 to 20 minutes is as long as you want to do, because it takes the kids a long time to get their idea for what animal they're going to draw, to physically draw it. You probably need the whole hour and a half for that Art Vista project, so don't go too long on the presentation. Good luck with it.